I gave you some tasks. So did you implement that code for validating the customer ID in our behavior definition, in our behavior pool class, right? So we implemented the coding for validating accept travel we did, reject travel, both actions we did, and validate agency. We did the code for validate agency also. I asked you to do the code for validate customer. This one. Have you done this, guys? Anyone? If not, so why? Did you not understand this coding what we written for validate customer, validate agency? Because the same way, the same logic you can follow even for validating the customer ID also. Instead of you check it in the agency master table, you are checking the customer existence in the customer master table. No one has done this? No problem. Let me do it for you again. I will explain that code piece once again. If anyone of you have any questions, let me know that. Validate customer. First of all, this is our application. Refresh agency ID we implemented. So when we go for create button, agency ID we implemented. Customer ID logic we did not implement. First, whatever the value user has entered on this screen, we should read that values from the read entity part, right? So for that, first here we will go to validate customer method. Let us read that entities provided by user. Read entities of your business object, ZA RAP, a travel, ZA RAP, travel underscore 00. And entity, which entity you are reading the data? You are reading the data from travel entity. And which fields you are reading? We don't want all the fields, or all fields also you can maintain. So right now we are reading the customer ID. All customer IDs we are reading, whichever entered by user, with the corresponding values of keys. What is keys? Keys is a default importing parameter for this method. Keys is the default implicit importing parameter of this method. That keys is an internal table. It contains the key field values which are provided. If you don't provide any key field, it will be blank, right? Because key field anyhow is getting generated over there. And that data we read into, because it is a read command, right? That result we should read it. Result data we read into one internal table called travels, dynamic way, right? So we got one travel. Whatever user entered here, whatever the user details entered here on this screen, all that details we read here into this travels. Then we are creating one internal table, data customers of type like the same sorted table of with reference to standard table /DMO/customer with the unique key customer underscore ID. That is the table field. Underscore fields are table fields, you know that, right? with reference to customer underscore ID. We created one internal table for for getting all the unique values. Now we are filling that internal table. Customers is equal to, from this travels, we are getting all the unique values. Whatever unique values are there, that unique value. Right now it is only one, but by assuming this process is happening for multiple records, so corresponding values of travels. By discarding from travels, by discarding duplicates. Mapping customer ID is equal to, right now only one value. That one value only will get copied into your customer's internal table. Again, by chance, if there are any blank values, I am deleting that one also. Delete customers where customer ID is initial. If it is blank, those such records also be deleted. Now, the very unique customer IDs provided by user on the screen are there in this internal table customers. With reference to these customer IDs, we will be reading the data. So far in these customers, what we have, whatever is entered by the user, whatever is provided by the user in the customer ID, that list of customer IDs, one or many, that customer IDs are there in the central table customers. First, we read that data into travels. From the travels, we removed duplicates, we removed blanks, and those unique customer IDs we captured into customers. But now we have to verify these customer IDs in the standard database table. So for that, let us read the data from the standard table into some other internal table that we are doing. Select from /DMO/customer, new syntax fields, whichever fields you wanted to fetch from the database, you can fetch. So we are reading only customer IDs. So as we are using for all entries, it is better to write the if condition. If customers is not initial, because for all entries always it is good to go with the if condition to check. If user has provided some customer IDs, then with reference to them, we are reading from fields customer ID for all entries in @customers. This is your internal table, where in the standard table, that customer ID is equal to your input to customer ID into table. Again, dynamic declaration customers underscore DB. So we fetched all the customer IDs with reference to your input customer IDs into this internal table. Now we will check one after one. Look at the travels, the very first internal tab. Into data, travel, epic value of transaction key. So this is basically we are preparing that standard reported structure by creating some state area. That is nothing but one separate pop-up will get generated in which your exception message, whatever your custom message that we have, that will be displayed over there. So for that, we will prepare one state area, nothing but one small pop-up screen area. That input we have first given. Then after that, we will validate if in your loop, if in your loop travel, if the customer ID is initial or not, line exist in your customer DB by comparing customer ID with your travel customer ID. If not exist, then we are appending the value into your failed structure. Append value of transactional key, travel transactional key to failed icon travel. So failed structure will be filled, and a reported structure also we have to fill finally to generate your error message. So we will write another append here to send the message to your reported structure. Append value of transactional key is equal to travel transactional key state area is equal to same the above state area whatever he given, validate underscore customer message, what message you wanted to put, percentage message is equal to, we are creating a new exception object. New our exception class we create in a ZCM underscore RAP underscore 00. It is a constructor. For this constructor, we promised that we are going to provide some parameters in the constructor. What are the parameters to be given? IF underscore severity. First one is severity. Severity is equal to IF ABAP behave message. In this interface, there is a constant called severity. In this severity structure, there is a field called error. Error message or warning message. You can show that this is one parameter, and text ID is another parameter. ZCM underscore RAP underscore 00. In that one, we have taken one customer unknown. And similarly, customer ID also we have to pass for filling the data in the field. Customer ID, your current customer ID. So this is the data we filled into the constructor. The append values, transactional key, state area, message, and finally element icon, customer ID. MK on to highlight that field. So this structure totally we are appending to imported travel. Customer CUST and the customer DB. Customers DB. Okay. And what is this error? Customer ID. Yeah. That's done. So we filled in all the required code for validating the customer ID also. Activate this. Same logic once again. It is the same logic we return. See, this is one way of checking myself according to my logical planning. But if you have a different idea for validating that, for checking that, definitely logic need not be same. Everyone need not to write the coding style. Yeah, so somebody will use condition instead of somebody will use when condition, and somebody will use for loop, or somebody will use some other loop. Okay, somebody will use multiple if statements. Someone will use individual if statements. Absolutely. How logically you are thinking, how deeply you are coding, that will just only change the number of lines of code. But ultimately, your purpose and your requirement, you can able to achieve. For that, there's no such kind of rule that everyone should write the code like this only. Whatever the logic that we wanted to build, we can activate it. Go to your application, refresh your application. So agency ID we validated. Let me give and customer ID. So this time we will give a wrong customer ID. 12345 is a customer ID and begin date, end date, booking fees, $100 and everything I made. And when we click on create, we are getting that customer 12345 invalid. That customer ID invalid message is coming, and that field is also getting highlighted here because of the reported field value we given here. This MK on because of this. Okay, then this is the code for validating the customer ID. So I will keep it open here. Right. Please execute this code about validating the customer ID before I get into date validations and total price. Let us implement this code, every one of you now. I will keep it open, my screen like this. This code, I will share it later with you. But execute this code and validate the customer ID scenario. Okay, let us implement the remaining methods coding also quickly. And after that, we will discuss about a scenario called draft enablement also. So validate customer ID we did, validate agency ID also we did. Next method we have is validate dates. So this method validate dates we are using for validating the date fields, right? But here we have two scenarios. Number one, checking the system date should be, so if I try to create with yesterday date, it should raise the error. That is one scenario. Second scenario, the so my start date always should be the today date or a future date. And second scenario, the end date should not be lower than the start date. So July 12th is beginning date, July 10th end date is also wrong one. So these two scenarios we are going to validate here under this method called validate dates, right? So let us same process. Let us read the date values first for the input travel records. Team, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Read entities of ZI RAP travel 00. So here entity name travel. Then we are reading the fields travel ID and begin date and end date. These are the three fields we are reading with corresponding values of keys. Keys is the implicit importing parameter, and that result will capture into travels. And then we will make a check. We'll go through the records, look at travels into data, travel for each record. You can use field symbols also if you want. That is even much easy. So for displaying some message, first we need to create a state area, append value of transactional key is equal to travel transactional key. And state area. Validate dates. To report icon travel. Oh. Then let us make some condition. If condition, first one is if the end date is lower than the start date. If travel icon end date. This one. If travel end date is smaller than, less than, can be equal travel icon begin date. If this is the condition, then we will throw an error. Append value of transactional key is equal to travel icon transactional key to failed travel. First, we need to fill the failed structure, and after that, reported structure. Append value of for the error message. Transactional key, travel icon, transactional key. State area is equal to validate dates, message, new or exception class, ZCM underscore wrap underscore 00. CVRT equal to IF ABAP behave message. Extend equal to ZCM wrap 00. Break controller. Break controller. Begin date equal to travel icon begin date. To fill the placeholders, travel icon and date. Travel ID equal to travel icon, travel ID. So this is the values for your exception object in the constructor. And finally, to highlight both that fields, element hyphen begin date, IF above behave. In this interface, there is a parameter called MP and there is a constant called on to highlight that field. Similarly, we will highlight the end field also. Element hyphen end date. Same. IF above behave. So this entire message we need to append to reported structure. To reported icon travel. Done. So this is one condition for checking validations. And spelling mistake. This is one condition. you can close the if and you can write one more if statement, or else you can write else if also. Else if it is not lesser than, I mean, begin date, end date properly given, but I wanted to check my begin date is smaller than the system date, and that is also another condition, right? Else, if travel hyphen begin date, travel hyphen begin date is smaller than today's system date. System date you can get from CL ABAP context info, CL underscore ABAP underscore context info. This class is having a method called get system date. So in case if it is smaller than the system date, then we will raise the same code. Append value to file structure first. Control C.
Hey, you know, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training. That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features: bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
Copy this. Control C. So here we are only appending transactional key, state area, and in the message, what is that message class we created here? Let me see that. This is for date interval, one constant. Another one is begin date before system date. Yeah, this is the one, text ID. So go to your behavior tool class. Begin date before system date. And only we need to pass the begin date value. End date we are not checking here. So this field we can remove. Travel ID also, I think we are not passing in this case. So I will remove travel ID also. Begin date only. And we need to highlight only begin date field. End date field not required to get highlighted. So we will remove that. Finally, end if. End if and end loop. Done. So we have within this validate dates, we are validating two things for your dates. Click on activate button. Go to your application. Come back. Refresh. Then go to create button. So agency ID. customer ID. So this travel ID, actually we need to generate automatically because we made this field also as a read-only field to calculate the travel ID. This is a key field. Key field is a 16 character ID in the managed scenario. It is generating, but we did not write any code for getting this travel ID to generate automatically. How I wanted that is like in the application. I will show you before. So agency ID, customer ID. Let me give my start date lower than system date. So according to this logic is fine. July 10th to July 10, July 12, this is fine. But July 10 should not be given because it is a older date, right? So when I go for create, system is saying that the begin date 10th July must be on or after system date. This begin to end right now, only this particular field only highlighting because we passed that parameter only in the element parameter. Close this. Okay, let me give the correct today's date. But what I made is close date I changed it to older date. This one I corrected, but this one I given wrongly older date. Again, if I click on create, it is saying that begin date must not be after end date because here begin date is fresh latest date and end date is older date, which is not acceptable. And in this case, if you observe, both fields actually highlighted. You see, two fields also highlighted here because that error belongs to these two fields, and we have highlighted those two fields of data also. So if I put a fresh latest data and other details, finally when I say create, then automatically my instance got created. Your instance got created, new travel created, but still this travel ID is blank. Agency ID you filled, customer ID you filled, begin date you given, end date you given. Remaining details you did not. Moreover, travel ID is also not filled up. So if I go, you see records are generating here, but travel ID is blank here, not populating any value. We didn't write that. So what I wanted is in this data, last time we did that 901, 902. So I have given some manual. That time I have given these IDs manually, right? So what I wanted right now is we wanted to read the latest travel ID value, which is already there in the database table. And to that, we will add a +1, and that value we wanted to store as a travel ID. That is the purpose. For that purpose, sorry. For that purpose only, we have made, because to calculate that value dynamically, we made that field travel ID also as a read-only field. We wanted to read the latest value from the table and wanted to add +1 to that and a new travel ID to be populated. That is one thing. And another determination also we written. When I'm creating a new travel, we wanted this overall status field to get filled with O because it is just a new travel. So all my new travels should get created with O. If you see this earlier records, we didn't provide anything. We didn't fill the value. We didn't provide anything. So still it is a blank value only it's showing. It doesn't contain any value there. But we wanted all the travels by default to begin with the status called O. For doing that also, we have created some determinations already in your behavior definition. We will write the code for them. So this is done about validated dates. This is done validate customer. So all validations are done. 3 validations we given. All 3 validations we wrote the code. Next, 3 determinations. Yeah, set travel ID, set initial status, calculate the total price. These 3 are our determinations. We created 3 determinations also in our behavior definition, if you observe, right? Yeah, these are the 3 determinations. For these 3 validations, we wrote the code. Now we are writing 3 determinations here. And in these determinations, travel ID will be generated during the save time, but total price and initial status will get generated directly when you click on the create button. These are you written for on modify and set a travel ID you did for on save. Why we written this on save? Because when I'm creating a new application, suppose I wanted this travel ID immediately to come as 903, but not make sense because I might be taking 5 minutes time to fill all these fields. But in between, some more travel IDs also might got generated in my application. So just before the save happening, I wanted to get the latest travel ID, want to add +1 to that, and wanted to get it saved. I don't want the travel ID immediately to come and appear on my screen. Okay, because until you save the data, until the record gets saved in the database, that 903 not make any sense even if it comes here. Already 901, 902 is there. So if you get this travel ID as 903 directly on the screen, but if you are taking 10 minutes time to complete all the screen filling, in between 903, 905, 905, 906 also might got generated in the table by some other users. So then your new travel should get saved with 907. You have to fetch the latest travel ID just before saving. For that purpose, we wrote that determination to get executed before the saving. Other two determinations, you directly wrote on modify. So whenever you open the screen, it will automatically come, like your overall status. Let us write the code. You will see that differentiation also about the timing, when that method is actually running. First, let us write the code for this set initial status. So by default, whenever I'm going to create a new travel, okay, for example, I wanted booking fees automatically to come with $100, or I wanted my start date automatically come with today date. Like that, anything you can write. So something we are writing like that. My overall status should come like O, because it is a new travel you are creating, fresh travel you are creating. So I wanted the overall status to be O, like open travel. After that, it will go for approve or a rejector. So you wanted to set the travel status to O. For that, this is the method we have created, set initial status. Let us go to our behavior pool class. This is the method we have, set initial status. Here write the code. First of all, as usual, we should read the data from the screen input. Read entities of your business object. We are reading the entity called the travel, and we are reading the data for the fields travel status. Of course, it is a read only, so definitely it will be blank. With corresponding values of keys. The result is the exporting parameter of a reader. That result data you are reading into travels. So with that, your initial reading completed. Then just for a safe side cleanup activities. So delete travels where, in case if user has provided any input, travel status is not an issue. If user has already given some status, that records I don't mind. I wanted only blank records. For that, I wanted to set the new status. Then You can make a check condition also. Check travels is not initial. Again, check is also a shortcut, right? If it is true, then only the rest of the statements will get continued. Instead of if condition, again, check travels is not initial. Then we will set up that status. Modify entities of your business object. Entity travel update command. Update fields. Which fields you wanted to update? Travel status. You can write all these things in one single line also. We are writing it into multiple statements so that every block will be clear, right? Entity update command, which fields you're updating, everything we are writing in a new line. So it is easy to read the code. Fields travel status with value. So here we have to write a loop statement again for travel in travels, because there is a chance that there can be multiple records here. Transaction key is equal to travel icon transaction key. Travel status equal to, already we created one structure about it. Travel status icon open. We created a travel status structure. It has three fields: open, accepted, rejected. Open, accepted, cancelled. So among that, travel status icon, open, accepted, cancelled. The three fields we already taken above in this behavior of pull class at the beginning. Here, just O, A, X. These three with these three field names. That one we are pulling here. Experienced travel status. Students. Reported data. Corresponding values. So, field update reported. Fields travel status with value for travel. For travel in travels, transactional travel status equal to travel open transactional travel status equal to travel status open. reported that data into. We have created some custom structure. Then finally the standard structure reported equal to corresponding values of this is fine. What is this fine? Multiple markers at this line. So is it? Here I should put it. Just one missing bracket showing so many workings activated. So go to your application, refresh. So when we are creating a new travel, if we go for create option, so during that time, my determination will run. So it got created with the oral status. Now this time earlier it was becoming blank, but now whenever you are creating a new travel, every time your new travel is getting created with the default status as O, initial status as O. So this is a fresh. Earlier this is a record you created, but that time there is no travel status initiated. But now when you go to this record here, hey, I think this one I created this one. Okay. When I go there here, now the travel status comes with the O. And after that, I can go for approval. When I do that approval, it will become again A. And if you go for result, it is becoming X. But when the record is getting created, we are setting that initial status to O every time during the record creation. For that, we wrote the code. To go through that, it is simple logic, straightforward logic. You can easily understand that. Similar way, this calculate travel ID. We wanted to calculate this travel ID also based on the value which is there in the table currently, latest value plus 1 we wanted to do. So let us write that code for that also. So this is the code. This is the method for that. Set to travel ID. Able to follow things. As I said, practice. It needs some practice to understand this particular coding style. But I'm using very simple statements only, very flat, straightforward statements only. You get more readable. And just by reading their statements and implementing the similar logic 3-4 times and various requirements, you will be familiar with those syntaxes. Okay, let me write the code for travel ID here. As usual, read the entries first. So I will copy this. So we should read travel ID. Anyhow, that will be blank on the screen. Travel ID with corresponding keys into travels. And after that, we will delete duplicate entries if there are any. Same how we did for set start, a similar way. Delete travels where travel ID is not initial. If user has provided any input, we are keeping that. Wherever it is blank, those records only we are keeping with ourselves. Result data, method set to travel ID, delete travels where travel ID is not initial in method. What is this one?
You have written there, no? Delete travel ID where the travel ID is not initial.
Mhm.
After
Yeah,
this statement, yes. So the travel ID is initial where we have to delete. No, it's not initial. It's all the record will be deleted, like where the travel ID is.
yeah. See right now, but delete travels where travel ID is not initial. Stop. So where are you deleting in this internal table, right?
Yes.
And this internal table contains which records? Did you read all the records from the table? No. You read the data. You read the data. What has been entered on this screen, or what has been shared, what has been given as an input in the OData call. Only that records only right now there in this internal table. So here you are reading the data with corresponding keys. Keys is the implicit internal parameter with your input data. This method is called. Only that records only we are calling. In that one we are deleting if the travel ID is not blank. Right? Okay. So then check if it is not blank. Check travels is not initial. Okay. Check also happened. If it is true, then only the program process flow will continue. And there we will read the data from the table now. Select single from ZRAP or table. ZRAP a travel underscores 00 fields. What is the maximum? What is the max travel ID currently there in the table? What is the max travel ID is there in the table as travel ID into some complex structure into data. Max travel ID internal table. Period. Select single from ZRAP. A travel is not declared as a traveler. ZRAP a travel. This is the table. This is the table. ZRAP a travel underscore 00. We fetch the data. Now we will modify the entity with the corresponding data. Modify entities of ZI RAM travel underscore 00 in local. for entity travel update from values of for travel in travels index into I.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
For travel in travels index looks into I. Transactional key. For second record, I value will be 2 plus 2. So for third record, I value will be 3 plus 3. We are increasing that numbering for the maximum travel ID plus 1, maximum travel ID plus 2. As many records are there, for that many records, we are increasing that travel ID with that report, that record we got into this updated structure, and that structure finally we have updated to the default implicit reported structure. That's it. So let us activate this. Go to your application, refresh your application. So earlier, if you see the maximum records, the maximum ID was there as like 902. Now I'm going to create a new record. So this time the travel ID is MC ID. begin date, end date, booking fee we provided, and other things are will be later. Then we click on create button. My new travel ID got created, and this time we got the travel ID number 903. This key field anyhow generating in the managed scenario. This one is not bothering, but this is the value we calculated. Now overall status comes with a 0, and also similarly my travel ID came up with the 903 here. That 903 also arrived here. If I go back, now the data updated with the 903. If I create one more new travel ID, that will automatically come as 904. Let me create one more record. Agency ID, customer ID, start date, end date, booking fee, and click on create. It should generate it with the 904. So record got generated with the 904. And travel status also instantiated and record also generated. Go back. The new record also appeared here. 904. This is appearing because here we have passed on that updated records back to this reported structure. It is a implicit structure again, reported. Because of that, your data immediately getting refreshed. Otherwise, again, you have to click on go button to fetch the latest data once again from the database. Okay. Similarly, we can write the logic for calculating total price, calculating the other things also. We can do that. Calculate the total price will be. I will write that code and I will share that code with you. Let us write some code about these buttons activation and deactivation. So when I go here to this record, my travel status is O. It is a fresh record. So either I can approve it or I can reject it. I can perform anything. But once it is approved or rejected, then I don't want these buttons to get again active. I told you that that is called a dynamic feature control. Static feature control means initially we made some fields read only, mandatory like that, right? Those are static feature control. Dynamically, if you wanted to set up the controls nature, that is called a dynamic feature control. So as long as my travel status is O, I wanted these two buttons to get activated. But if it is approved or rejected, then there is no purpose, there is no point to perform these actions again for such records. In that case, I wanted these buttons to be disabled. If you wanted to do that, that is called dynamic feature control. For doing that dynamic feature control, we need to write the code in one of the method called get features. So that is also implicitly available in your method definition. Here it is. Get instance features. There we do write that code. And we wrote the code for validate dates. We wrote the code for validate customer, validate agency we wrote, set travel ID we wrote, set initial status we wrote, calculate total price. We will write that. We had to write that. Reject travel we already wrote. Accept travel also we wrote. Now here, these are the two methods for instance authorizations and instance features. We do write there. Let us go to that method. Get instance features. read the data first of all from the screen. Read entities of ZI, RAP, travel 00. Basically, we have to get only the travel status field value. Is it O or A or X that I wanted with corresponding values of keys. That the result data into travels. In case if there is any failure in reading, failed data into failed. Let us update that result here. Some condition operator. Instead of if condition, we are using condition operator. These are all the latest ABAP operators team. You can check about what is the let operator, what is conditional operator. You can check that syntaxes. Those who are not familiar about these new keywords. Travel status. It is equal to travel status accepted. ICCU. If it is already A, if it is when condition followed by then operator, right? Then IF above behave. There is field control. FC stands for field control icon O icon disabled. Field enable, field disabled. We will do from here disabled. Else IF icon above icon behave. Field control option enabled. nothing but X. If that value is currently there as X, then also we wanted to disable that field. IF, ABAP, behave, field control, optional, disable, else, IF, ABAP, behavior, field control, option, enable. Here spelling mistake, BHU.
Sir, can you once more repeat how is this COND function working?
I will. Action accept travel equal to is accepted. I will explain. Save this. Activate this. We'll check once. Then I will come back. Go to your application. Refresh. So 90, let us see the data in descending order. Travel at descending order. So 904 is 904 record status is O. We know that. So when I go there, when I click on that record, it is O currently at present. So that these two buttons are working. So what I will do is I will say approve travel. It is approved. Now the overall status become approved. When it is approved, when it turns to approved, you see, I mean, we written like that, we can reject, but one more time we cannot approve that. One more time we can approve. I mean, I wrote the logic like that in the condition. If it is already approved, then again, why are you clicking approve buttons multiple times? It is already approved. The choice is there that you can reject it. So if I click on reject, it turned into reject status. If it is in reject status, you are getting only the option called approve travel. Again, you can, if you wanted that rejected travel once again to approve, you can approve that. Okay, like that also you can write the logic. According to that, if it is approved, then approved button is disabled. If it is rejected, then rejected button is disabled. Only approved button is coming up here. and approve travel, it is coming. Or else we can write in other way, like if it is approved or rejected in both cases, I don't want that button to see 903 when I select these two buttons are working for me because this is a fresh record. But 904 when I select, sorry, when 904 I select, you see, approve button is disabled here because it is already in approved status. So that's why approve button is disabled. You can just only perform reject. So I click on reject. Now 904 record when I select, now reject button is disabled. Only approve button is only enabled for me here. But if I select this one 903, in that case, both these buttons are working for us. So that is how it is working out. So what we wrote here in the logic, first of all, whatever records user has selected here. If it is 2 records, then 2. If it is only 1, then 1. Okay, suppose if I select 3 records, 901, 902, 904, all these 3 records I wanted to reject. Then what will happen? 902, 903, 904. All these 3 records. Okay, let me choose this. 1, 2, 3. These 3 records in the logic, it went to your read statement with all the keys. With all that keys, we read that data into travels. So those 3 records, whatever you selected on the screen here, 901, 902, 903, all the 3 records here came into, okay, or else better let us think with only one record, 904. So this particular key field value came to this keys, and that particular single record you read into travels. About the read command. Okay, you're good with read command, right, guys? Right.
Yes.
So with the selected keys, whatever the records, maybe 1 record or 2 records, that we capture it. Any update if you wanted to make on your screen, this is the parameter. The result is the implicit parameter that is there. We need to fill that one. So we need to fill this result structure with some values, especially for what? Because result will return that response back to your screen. Any output, if you wanted to show even in your earlier methods also, that result parameter we filled in at the end of the coding. So to see that result parameter we filled in to send that updated data back to your screen. That's why immediately see that result parameter we are filling finally with whatever final update you wanted to show on the screen. So here also we are filling this result, which is a response data, response structure bringing back to screen. But what I wanted to do, we wanted to run a loop because here the user selected maybe 1, 2, 3, 2 records or 3 records, whatever records are. So we are selecting only one, but we are thinking that multiple records selected. Then we are going through a loop for travel in travels. Then here, just let is nothing but some like a data declaration only, just a variable accepted. If the status is already in accepted state for one of the records, if it is already in accepted state, then how do you wanted things to happen? So is accepted. I just taken a variable like that, but here I'm checking if the travel status, if the current travel status of this present record is already in the accepted state, then what I'm doing, that control we are disabling. That accept button we are disabling. If it is not in the accepted state, then that button I am enabling. So this kind of value I filled in. So finally this value, should I disable it or should I enable it? That value went on to this variable is accepted. Similarly, another variable I have taken. Here also I'm checking if the current travel status is cancelled. It is already in the rejected state, X. In that case, I am disabling that button. I'm disabling that button. If that is not in the cancelled state, I am enabling that button. So the disable button should be active or inactive, depends on if it is already rejected record, then reject button will go off. If the travel status is accepted already, then accept button will go off. Like that, these two variables we are filling. Finally, this is accepted or is rejected. These conditions we have to give back to our action buttons. This is the parameter. Percentage action, accept travel, percentage action, reject travel. Accept travel and reject travel are your in the behavior definition we given, right? If you go to behavior definition, these are your action names. Accept travel, reject travel. So we are filling their status by using that variables. That variable, that button's status we can fill with these variables. Is accepted and is rejected. Or accept button how it should come, reject button how it should come. For example, let us do it this way. If the status is accepted, in that case, I wanted to disable both the accept button and reject button also. So here also you put disable. If the record is in the rejected state, then disable both. So if it is an accepted state or rejected state, both buttons you can disable. Only if it is open, then only it will work. Like that we did. So here how we wrote the logic here is that if the travel status already accepted, then that accept button we are disabling. If the travel record is in the rejected state right now, then the reject button we are disabling. Otherwise, we are enabling. That is how the logic written here. And that values finally we are filling back to your action buttons. So this is the logic. And finally, this entire response should go to your result parameter. That is how this dynamic behavior is happening. Just go through the lines of code one more time. Presently, it will be good. Okay. So this is how we can write the dynamic feature controls. Similarly, we have written some determinations in our booking also. Some booking status checks also we have made. So that will be our task. I think we wrote two behavior definitions. I mean, in the behavior definition, for booking, we wrote two validations. Yeah, two determinations we wrote here. Calculate the booking ID, calculate the total price. So calculate total price logic I will write, but calculate booking ID. You have to calculate the latest booking ID and you should generate. For example, see here. So when I go to this new record, when I go to create new booking, so we made this booking number disabled, but this one with the maximum value, you have to find the next value. So booking date, customer ID, airline ID, flight number, flight price, flight date. So it is a new booking is getting creating now, but still the booking number is not generating. You see here, the booking number still blank. So to determine this value, we wrote one determination here. Calculate total price I will tell, but this determination you try to write on your own. Okay, so like that we can write a lot much code for activating these controls team. We will write that. The next concept we will discuss about draft enablement. Okay, right. So there is a concept called draft handling. So that feature is also enabled in SAP applications. In Restful Application Programming Framework, this draft concept also enabled by SAP. So you know the meaning of draft, right? So draft version, we are making a draft, we will speak like that. So draft is actually like a temporary version, temporary copy. Normally when we are working on application, we can enable that application with the draft enablement also. If you enable the draft concept in your application, what will happen is when you are doing the transaction during that time, one second. all your data is persisted in the table, in the backend table, in your travel table, and you know that. But sometimes when you open the application, when you are typing the complete screen, all the values, suddenly some issue might happen like the power failure or application closure or up down shutdown. So the entry what you have made on the screen should get saved temporarily in a temporary table. So anytime back you can resume that work. So whatever values you filled in the screen, suppose you filled in half of the details, you're not sure about the travel dates. So you wanted to call to somebody and wanted to get the confirmation on travel dates and you wanted to fill it back. So you can still leave that draft version over there and you can continue with the next records. So the earlier one which you have not completed, that will be still there in the system as a draft version. You can again bring it back and that record process you can, because you are not sure about the dates at that time. So you kept it in draft only. You can continue that record even tomorrow. Until then, that entry will be there in one of your draft tables. For every of your database table, right now you have two tables. One is for travel and one is for booking. For each of these two tables, you will be going to create two separate database tables again. But anyhow, system will take care of that. Those are called draft tables. So once the record persistently stored in your actual database table in the persistent store, nothing but your original table, the record will be maintained in a timely manner in the draft table. Once you save it, that entry automatically removed from the draft table and will be there in your main database table because it got saved. It got saved permanently in your database table. And even it will bring up the nature of device compatibility also. Suppose you are working in laptop and you are creating a new entry, it got saved. I mean, not it saved, still going on. So periodically, the values you are entering temporarily are going to be stored in the draft table. And you shut down your laptop and you go to other device like your mobile or iPad. Again, you will get an option to continue the process, to continue that record creation even from other device also. The same because it is already your entries are already there in the draft version. You can bring it back and you can continue that new travel creation from other device. From device switching, you can make temporarily you can save, you can continue your draft until you save that draft version into full-time version. That record will be maintained in the draft table. That is the concept of drafting. If you want to work with the drafting, what are the things to be done? The first thing is in your application, in your behavior definition. So here we should write an addition called with the draft. With the draft. When you are doing with the draft, just to let me. No problem. We will address that. So this is the option we should make it up, guys. Called with the draft. That means you wanted to enable the drafting feature for your application. Okay, that is the first thing to be done. After managed one, you have to make it like with the draft. The second thing, this is the first change you have to make with the draft. Strict basically will make some causes there. So let me off that for a while. ST. I will get it back. So that is the first thing to be done. You have to write the keyword called with the drop to. And second thing is that for every of your persistent table. So right now you know that this is your persistent table, GRAP, travel underscore 00. In this table only, all the records are getting stored. This is the database table we have created. In this database table, all the records are getting stored. Go to data preview. So travel ID, let us see that in the sorting order. So 904, 903, 902, these are all the travel IDs we created. So this is how the data is there. Now, with reference to this database table, we need to create, let me close some unwanted objects. Apart from your database table, right, persistent table, where what you have maintained here, you have to create a new table also here. That one you have to right-click, draft table. Let us write some new table name. That table not yet created, we will create that. So, but you have to maintain the draft table name also. Draft table GRAP. That is a travel we maintain. So this time I will maintain B travel draft table underscore 00. That is the actual travel table. This is a draft travel table. GRAP underscore B travel underscore 00. One draft table I have maintained, but you haven't created any such kind of tables before. No problem. We can create that. So after you write the draft table name, we have to place the cursor on this table and press Control 1. The system automatically will suggest like, hey, do you want to create the draft table with the name GRAP draft for the entity this one? Yes. Double click on this. Exactly according to your original table with all the fields, it will create one draft table in addition to a few fields. Double click on that. So now system automatically suggested. So you don't need to maintain all the fields. System only will create this table. This is the name of your table. Description also came automatically for you. Draft table for entity. Yeah, you can keep all these details as it is. Let us next. Choose the transport request. Click on finish. So here one draft table got created. If you notice, all the table fields of the table comes to you automatically. In addition, we got some admin field also at the bottom. Just leave it up. Travel UUID is a key field, semantics, all the information that got generated. Absolutely, this is fine. Just we need to activate this table. Click on activate. Your draft table created. You see one more new table created here with the description that you given. And right now, this table does not contain any entries because no entries are saved in the draft table yet. If you go and see the data preview, you will not see any entries. Once if you saved any entry in the draft table, you can able to see that. Okay, draft table got created. And similarly, what is this error? It got created. That will gone away. No problem. We already created this, right? Similarly, we need to create a draft table for your booking also. Let us go to your booking screen here. Define behavior for alias booking persistent table. So here after the persistent table, let us maintain one draft table for your booking as well. Draft table, ZRAP, dbook, draft booking underscore 00. This is a draft table I wanted to create respective to my booking table. Once again, press Control 1, then click on draft table for table booking also. Click on next, transport request, click on finish. Done. Another table generated for your booking table also. Click on activate. You can see that no records are available in this table as well. Good. Close this. Close this. So we have created two drafted tables. One is for travel and one is for booking as well. Now, to work with the drafting, certain changes are required to go one after one. We will see what are all the changes we need to make in our behavior definition. The first thing is creation association. So create in the travel, create, update, delete is all there, right? And here also we have one association for booking creation. Here we should enable with the draft creation normally or creation with the draft also. We need to add this one. Okay, so that part is done. Similarly, when you are here association travel is there, right? So here also wherever association is there, we maintain in with that associations with the draft.
Our comprehensive student metrics ensure top-notch learning experiences. We track engagement through attendance, participation, and video interactions. Performance is measured via quiz scores and assignment submissions. We monitor learning behaviors, including time spent and revisit patterns. Our metrics cover social learning, course completion rates, and even post-course success. With technical data on platform usage and device information, we optimize every aspect of your learning journey.
Two things. Then another thing to be made here is when you are working with the draft, lockmaster basically. Lockmaster in the manager scenario it will work, but when we are working with the draft scenario, I will explain about this locking concept in our next session in detail. So lockmaster, there you maintain one field for the lock. I will explain this concept again. Let us write this one to avoid the error first. Lockmaster, total tag, last change date. Last change date is a field we have in our table. We wanted to maintain the locking based on this field value. Last change rate. Lockmaster, total tag, last change rate is the field we have maintained. The same thing in the booking table also we need to maintain. Lockmaster and here lock dependent by travel. Okay, that is enough for the booking. So what are the things we made? First thing we made here with the draft. Second thing, for your persistent table, you have created one draft table. Third one, the same draft table we have created for your booking also. And fourth one, wherever associations are there, and in the associations we maintained with the draft. Here also, when association for booking is there, we also enabled with the draft. And when working with the draft scenarios, especially we need to make some change for your validations. When the validations are there, it is not an error, but some warning is coming here, right? In the draft scenario to work. So for these three validations, one small change we need to write in your behavior definition. Draft, determine, action, prepare. This is a standard code. Just you have to write your validation names within that. for draft scenario to work out. Validation, validate agency, validation, validate customer, validation, validate dates. You need to add up these validation names separately for draft scenario also to applicable in this process. Then finally activate this. And one last step to be done is go to your projection view. The behavior projection, we written the projection, right? So here also in the projection, we have to write use draft. Disable the script for a while. Here in the projection, your behavior projection also maintain that use draft. And here also add that with the draft in the projection also. With the draft. Here also. Activate this. Activate your behavior projection. Activate your behavior definition as well. Then did I miss anything? That's it only. Activate it. Go to your application. Refresh our application. So your application looks normal. Here, there is no difference in terms of application execution. Let us go for create a new scenario. When I am creating a new entry, you see here, this time we got a button here. Create to discard draft. So when you are going with your value creation and other things, you can create the entry. Let us see that one. Let me give one agency ID. Let me give my customer ID, start date, end date, booking fee, description. So see here you are getting draft updated. You are getting a message every time when I am entering the fields periodically. The system is actually updating that. That message will come, will disappear, it will come, it will go off, something like that. So when I click on create, automatically one travel entry got created. So one new travel got created with the travel ID 905, record successfully created. There is nothing about the drafting. You go here, you go to your tables once, your travel table. So in the travel table, if I see the records, (905) also created. But if you go to the draft table, you will not see any entry in the draft table because the record permanently saved in the drafting. So there is no record here. There is no temporary record got created here. But let us save it now as a draft. Let me go here. Okay, come back. Let us go to create a new record. So agency ID, I will choose 5. Customer ID, I will choose 5. And starting date, I will choose 5. And the date, just for easy reference, 25. And booking fees 500. I will provide the values like that. You see here, this is updating draft updated. So this entry, all these fields are actually there in the draft table or entered in the draft table. I don't want it to continue this creation because I need some confirmation about some description or about some end date data. So I don't want it to click on create button at this moment because still I'm unsure about the data. So two options are there. You can go for discard the draft. If you said discard the draft, all this draft version will be deleted. It won't be there. You just come back. Don't say discard the draft. Just come back. But that entry is there in the draft table. You see here, that entry is there in the draft table. Customer ID, agency ID 5, customer ID 5, all these things. And here also you can see one flag called draft. That entry you will get here. You go to your tables once, and in your table, in your draft table, click on refresh. You see one entry got created, agency ID 5, customer ID 5. This entry still not there in your master database table, in your persisted table. Persisted table contains only the last entry, travel ID 905. Still, the new entry not get created. But in the draft scenario, to save the entry in this table, the primary key automatically getting generated by the system at the initial go. And the first go itself, the system is generating the primary key. That's why earlier you did not see that one. Now again, you can continue with create. Let us see. Earlier, this is not the way it used to come. It used to generate at the time of save. Now it is coming because to save this entry in the draft table, it needs a key field. So it is generating early. Agency ID 6, customer ID 6. Okay. And travel date 16, end date 26, booking fees of $600, like that. I have made another entry here, right? But this entry also, I don't want to go for create. So you have to wait until this draft update come here, guys, for you. Then let me go back. So two entries I created. And if I go to my database table, if I click on refresh, I can see two entries are waiting in my draft table. Even I can see in my table output. You can come, these two entries also will come for you, will open for you. So temporarily, records are created. They are saved in the draft table, but not saved in your persisted table. Now I will do that. So let me change my earlier record to get completed. So let me click on that draft link. Let me open that record. And here I will continue this record. Okay. Travel 5. I just whatever missing details I found it. Now I am very sure about that. Suppose I don't want this, then you can click on discard draft. Then that entry will delete it from the draft table. If you discard, that entry will be gone. So that entry will be gone from the table either by discarding it or complete the remaining field values and finally click on create button. The moment I click on create button, that entry permanently stored in the table 906 generated. Come back to see. Now I have only one draft entry, remaining entry, the other entry got saved in the table. If I go to the draft table, if I click on refresh button, you see that entry gone. Right now it is having only another one more entry waiting in the draft table for the user action. Day after 1 week, you come, suppose I don't want this record. this is a meaningless record. So I just saved it, but we don't want this. Let us click on discard draft. Discard the draft. Yeah, click on discard. So I'm canceling it out. That entry gone from your table output. Even if you go to your draft table, if you click on refresh, you will notice that that entry has gone because you have discarded the draft. That is how the draft concept works. Okay, team. So what are the things we did over there? Go to your behavior definition. Here you say with the draft. So temporarily comment this out because this is causing some issue with the draft. It is there in the framework itself. Mostly it may get fixed soon. And maintain with associations also with the draft. The most important thing is you have to create a draft table. And from here itself, you can press Control 1. The draft table will get created. In the behavior projection, you have to write use draft. Use draft you have to write in the behavior projection. That is important. Wherever associations are there you should write with the draft. And you can continuously notice your entries are getting created in the draft travel, draft booking. Similar thing you can test with your draft booking also. Okay, so this is for today, team. So let me share you these files. Number one, we have modified a lot of things in our behavioral pool class, right? So this entire behavioral pool class, I will once again give it to you, dynamic feature control and everything control. Behavior pool class we have updated. And second thing about the draft, so behavior definition we modified. The behavior definition we added with the draft and validations also we need to prepare. Association also we modified. So this code I will put. What else we did? And the draft table you can create, guys. So in the behavior definition, we just maintain here, you write here like this, draft table. The persistent, below the persistent table, you write this line, draft table. You maintain a different table name, press Control 1, that table will get generated and activate. Okay, I think these are the only 3 changes we made in the behavior pool. Draft table creation you can do on your own. You have to change things in the behavior definition and behavior projection. Remaining all remains the same. Nothing is there in your behavioral pool definition also. All right, I will upload the files. You just implement all the validations, determinations, what will end, and execute the draft scenario also.
We have created one DR, right?
Yeah.
On that DR, we are working on all the projects. So suppose we have connected with the BTP Cloud. Suppose if I want to release that DR, I just want to add all my project things on BTP Cloud. How can I do that? Because suppose if my laptop is going to format, and how can got the things?
See, 2 things. Number one, first of all, these things are saved in your BTP Cloud already. In the BTP Cloud, right now your data is saved in the BTP Cloud. So 2 things. If you wanted to take a backup, because this ABAP instance will get expired after 90 days. Your BTP trial account will expire after 90 days. So all of this code definitely will be gone. So you have to take a backup of the code, or there is a concept called ABAP Git is there. You can upload this code from here into ABAP Git repository, so that in the websites, it is like your Google Drive. Your code will be there, and anytime you can clone that, you can bring that code back from ABAP Git to your cloud projects, because it is a trial account. But in the real project environment, what will happen is there's no expiry. So your code, even after 3 months, because it is a trial account. But in your project environment, that is not the case. Your ABAP instance will be there forever in the cloud, and all your changes are there currently into one transport request. In BTP, there is a concept is there called cloud transport management. So using that, your basis segment team will execute that. So using that cloud transport management, these transport requests will be moved. Right now you are working on BTP. You have to think like this. This is BTP development system. And again, for production system, you will have another BTP ID. So BTP production environment will be there. BTP development environment will be there. You are currently working in dev system, BTP dev system. Similarly, your administrators will create BTP production environment also. Then these
Yes.
transports will
Yes.
be moved to BTP production environment.